Welcome to Business Math. Today is Friday. It happens to be January 17th. We're going to go ahead and talk about some of the things that we've already talked about. But hey, that's what learning is all about. It's repetition. At least that's what my wife tells me, because I need to be told numerous times. She is a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful person. So I'm not complaining. I'll make that clear. I did get your Chapter 1. I found Chapter 1 in a PDF. So if perchance you don't have your book yet, that's good. I see you have your book. But if you don't have your book yet, now you have an electronic copy of the book. So that will help you get caught up. Okay? Now it's only Chapter 1. By the way, our next class is not going to be until Wednesday. I think y'all knew that. But anyway, Monday we're going to celebrate Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday. All right, let's go to Blackboard just to review a couple of things here. And let's see. One of them is, and this is true if you're an online student or if you are a live student, you are to complete the Division of Business Code of Ethics Acknowledgement. So that's that one right there. You go to there, and there it is. It is due by January 22nd. Okay? January 22nd. I go over how to do that, and I went over that Wednesday, so I think I'm going to skip that today. But make sure you get it done. And if after watching the last video again, if you still can't figure it out, go ahead and call me on my cell phone. So there's my cell phone right there. And you can call evenings and weekends. It's just fine. If you're taking this class online in the summer or something like that, in the summer my wife and I travel. So a lot of times the first question students ask, hey, Dr. G, where are you? Invariably it's someplace cool. All right, the rest of the announcements, you can read those. I've already gone over those. The video lectures are going to be right here. Now, none of these are posted yet. For you online students, you see they're all posted. And let's see, I think that's about it. Oh, the announcement, I put there's your Chapter 1 PDF. Kind of neat. I was able to find Chapter 1. So you just right-click, say Target As, and there you go. You got Chapter 1. Go download it someplace. And it's pretty neat. It's got the entire chapter in it. And there you go. There's Chapter 1. So this is the same thing as what's in your book. Okay? So today, if you do have your book, we're going to talk about performing some basic math functions with decimals. Fortunately, every chapter in math starts off with an easy chapter. I do want to spend a little bit of time reviewing problem solving, because problem solving is way more important than calculation. And your author gave you kind of like a blueprint to help you solve a problem. And I'm going to give you the option of using the author's blueprint. The author's blueprint, like on page 9. Oh, this is cool. I can show you page 9 off of here again. Let's see. Oh, yeah, here's the blueprint. This is for, let me enlarge that for you. 200%. This is the blueprint that your author gives you to solve word problems. Okay? This is the little chart. So first of all, he has you write down the facts. And what are you trying to solve for? What are you trying to answer? The steps that you're supposed to take. So this is where you actually, if you recall what I told you about the George Polya's problem-solving method, was called you die. You die. The U, let's see, newbie, do you remember what the U stood for?
Understand.
Understand the problem. So the U, this one is to understand the problem. This is extremely important, and this takes time to make sure that you understand the problem. And when you're understanding the problem, basically what you're doing is you're collecting the facts and you're figuring out what you're going to solve for. So these are the two things that you're doing when you're understanding the problem. Now, what I started to say is, if you want to use the author's blueprint to solve a word problem, that's fine. Or if you want to use you die, you can actually write U-D-I-E when you solve your problems, or you can use the author's blueprint. You die is actually a little bit more complete, and I'll tell you why in just a second. Okay, the D, let's see, Nubia, you got that one right. The D stands for what? Shay.
Devise a plan.
Devise a plan. That's excellent. Oh, and Shay, that's awesome that you took notes. Wow, that's impressive. Dang. Because I will tell you things that aren't in your book, okay? This one is to devise a plan. When you devise a plan, this is basically what your steps to take. That's what the devise a plan is. You devise a plan. A lot of times when you devise a plan, you can use one of Stephen Covey's fantastic, he's written a book, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, and what it is, it's actually a great problem-solving book. It is. It's a great problem-solving book. So, in fact, as I think of books, I'm going to have extra credit books for you to read. You'll get 20 points apiece for these extra credit books. You don't have to write a book report. This is for you live students. I appreciate you sitting right in line with the camera, by the way. These are extra credit book reports in which you get 20 points, extra credit, and you don't have to write a book report. You just call me, and then we chat about the book. So you take a few notes as you read the book, okay? So the first book I gave you was How to Solve It by George Polly. It's old as the hills. You should be able to find and you can get these books through interlibrary loan. I have not seen this one in audiobooks. I haven't seen it in audiobooks. I should probably, of course I admit I haven't tried to find it in audiobooks, but anyway, it's a great book. This next book that I'm talking about, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, is by Stephen Covey. 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Okay, that's going to be on your credit reading list. That one's old as the hills, too. The reason that this one is a problem-solving book, and that's probably some of the questions I'll ask you if you choose to read this one. And by the way, if you're one of those either lucky or unlucky souls that has me both for personal finance and this course, the unlucky soul this semester, I think, is Rachel. So, oh, and you, Nubia, both of you. Okay. So extra, the rest of you need to give pity to Nubia and Rachel here that they're taking both. But anyway, on the plus side, you can get 20 points in each class. Okay? So there's the plus. You get 40 points out of that. But 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, the reason it's such a good problem-solving book is because one of the 7 habits is start with the end in mind. And that is a great problem-solving strategy. I got to watch the talk carefully. Back in the old days, we didn't have Nintendos, and we didn't have all the, we couldn't hand our smartphones. But my son, once in a while, hands his smartphone. He can lock the screen so that my little grandson can't totally mess up his phone. But he'll hand it to give him a game or something like that. And so back in the old days, my parents would give me a book of puzzles. Now, this probably helped me to become a math major because I found the excitement in solving puzzles. And there were the maze types. Those were my favorite. The maze. You know, it says enter here, and then it would have exit here, and it might be a circle maze, or it might be a maze, and you got to figure out. Well, actually, I learned on my own, and I almost felt guilty, like it was cheating. I would start at the end, and I'd back up. I don't know if they don't even have puzzles probably like that anymore, hardly. But a rare one. We bought our grandson some Hot Wheels toy or something. On the back of the package, it had one of these mazes. So he's 4 years old. He got a kick out of it. But anyway, so I taught my grandson now, hey, start at the end, and then you start backing up as far as you can go, and now start at the front and see if you can figure out how to get to there. In other words, it's a great problem-solving strategy called make the problem easier. Because when you start with the end in mind, like Stephen Covey says, you start with the end in mind, you say, well, what do I have to do to get to here? And then you just back up a little bit and say, well, what do I have to do to get to here? Well, that makes the problem easier. So that's why 7 Habits of Highly Effective People is a good problem-solving book. Also, the reason it's a good problem-solving book is because Stephen Covey talks about this. What you do is you start to solve problems before they become emergencies. See, very ineffective people don't solve problems until they have an emergency. An example would be my kids when they were young. They were just starting to drive on their own, and they would, my daughter would drive up to Alva from Enid. She graduated from Northwestern, and so she would drive up there. Well, it never occurred to her, and this is partially my fault, okay? It never occurred to her to check the air in her tires. Nowadays, you even have a nice little warning light on most cars that tells you, hey, you got a low tire. So she would never check the air in her tires until she had a blowout. In fact, she would even do this after she was early married. And in other words, that's when the problem became massively urgent. And ineffective people wait till a problem becomes massively urgent before they solve the problem. Now, I don't think too many of you drive your car until you run out of gas. I hope you don't anyway. You maybe do that one. Newbie is confession time. I should give extra credit for confessions. But an effective person keeps an eye on the gas gauge. Now, I can remember my daughter, too. She would give me a call. Dad, I'd say, where are you? I'm way out on Highway 412. I said, what are you doing out there? I ran out of gas. He says, well, there's this little needle on the, it shows you your gas gauge. See what I'm talking about problem solving here? The problem solving, this is why Stephen Covey is such a great problem solving book. It's because he says what you do is effective people start working on problems before they become urgent. See, we have important things, but they're not urgent. Filling your gas is very important. It's not urgent, not until you run out of gas. Now it's urgent. Checking the air in your tires, that's important, but it's not urgent. Effective people do that. Effective people, in fact, very ineffective people. I was just having this discussion with my daughter-in-law not very long ago. I said, do you notice how some people are so, quote, unlucky? Well, guess what? It's because they never take care of important things until they become urgent. And then as soon as you have the blowout, as soon as you run out of gas, as soon as all these bad things happen, it's, oh, I'm so unlucky. And then, like the book that I'm going through right now, it actually could classify as a problem-solving book. It's called the 10X Rule. It's always somebody else's fault. Now, as a good problem solver, as a great problem solver, You don't blame other people. This is part of being a great problem solver. Well, anyway, now you know why 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. I just thought of another one that I'm going to put on your list. We're going to get to it later, but you can start locating the book. It's Old as the Hills, because we do have a statistics chapter that we're going to cover, and it's called How to Lie with Statistics. How to Lie with Statistics. It's a great book. Statistics. Old as the Hills. Great book, so you can locate that one as well. And that's true for live or online students. All right. Well, we're in the process of dying here. That's what a lot of people feel when they problem solve. By the way, another characteristic of great problem solvers is persistence. This is going over the 10x rule as I was driving across town this morning. Do my audio books. I was talking about persistence. The really great problem solver just doesn't give up. Just doesn't. In fact, there's an interesting study that's done. I've got to watch the plot carefully. I realize this, but a great study was done about people that are perceived to be intelligent. Okay, not that they are. I mean, see, this is what I get such a kick out of this, because people perceive me to be intelligent. Math major, go through all those advanced calculus courses, and study computer science, and learn 10 different computer programming languages, and study finance, and study stock options, just going nuts. So people think that I'm intelligent. I'm not. I'm persistent. I am so persistent that I will not give up. So someday I want to be a stock options trader, okay? And I am so persistent, I will either die, go insane, or be a successful stock options trader. That is a characteristic of an effective problem solver, okay? That's what it's. I hope you're getting a handle on problem solving, which is way more important than computation, by the way. All right. So if you hate math, you might be a good math major. Hate arithmetic. You hate arithmetic. Most math majors hate arithmetic. Did you know that? I can't stand it. It's too boring. All right. Love problem solving. Well, anyway, understand the problem, devise a plan. Here's your steps to take. And then the I is to, let's see if you remember what the I stands for. Rachel, do you remember what the I stands for?
Implement the plan.
Implement the plan. That's awesome, Rachel. Implement the plan. So this is to implement it. So you carry out your steps. That's what you do. You carry out your steps. And then finally, the E, let's see. I think you just made it, didn't you? Let's see. I have your card. Well, let's pick on Courtney. What's the E stand for?
Evaluate the solution and plan.
Very good. Evaluate the solution and the plan. So this is very important. A lot of people, they don't even evaluate the solution. Did I get the right answer? I used to get the biggest kick out of this, especially when I was teaching computer science. I teach computer programming, and so as long as the computer gave them an answer, woohoo! I'm done here. Didn't even check to see if it was the right answer. In other words, the computer program didn't, to many of the beginning programmers especially, the computer gave them an answer, and it didn't crash, from a bug in the program. If you've written any computer code, it didn't crash. The computer ran, and it spit out an answer. Therefore, that answer must be right. Nah, that's not true, is it? So you got to be careful. You got to go back, and you have to manually check. Okay, is that the right answer? In the case of, we do this in the case of algebra a lot. We'll plug the answer back in. So when we solve a particular problem, let me clear the ink out for this. When we solve a problem like this, let's say we solve this problem 2x plus 4 equals 13, something like that. And we solved this, by the way, good little algebra review here. See, let's see, in Wyatt, I see you made it. What's the first thing we do to both sides, Wyatt? To solve that equation, 2x plus 4 equals 13.
Minus 4 from each side.
Yeah, so subtract 4 from each side. So we subtract 4 from both sides, and hopefully this is not a problem. Hopefully this is an exercise, right? And then the next thing we do, what is, Courtney?
Divide by 2.
Yep, divide both sides by 2. And so we get x is equal to 4.5, 4.5 if you like decimals. And now we've done this, so the last thing we do to check to see if we got the right answer, that's part of the E, evaluate. We take the 4.5 and do what with that, Shay?
We use it.
Okay, and how do we use it to see if we have the right answer? Do you remember what you can do with the 4.5?
You plug it back in.
Yeah, you plug it back in for x. And so you take 2 times 4.5. What is 2 times 4.5, Nubia? Double $4.50. Change it to money and it's easy.
Or 8, something, 9.
9! There you go. That's good. So you double, see, in fact, that's not a bad tech. We're going to go over estimation. So you double the 4, you get 8. Double the half buck, you get $1. You got $9, right? See, it'll help. We'll work on that. So you got 9, and what's 9 plus 4, Robert?
13.
13, so it checks, doesn't it? So this checks. So we did the evaluate. Now to evaluate, the plan was to use algebra to solve this. So to evaluate the plan, let's see. Is it legal to subtract 4 from both sides? What do you think, John Tay?
I think that's right.
That is legal. That is, as long as you do the same thing to both sides, right. And then, is it legal to divide both sides by 2, Rachel?
Yes.
Yes, it is. And so we did the whole UDI process. All right, well, there you go. More fun than a human being should be allowed to have. Now, here's what's really cool about problem solving, too. It's addictive. The more success you have at problem solving, then you even want harder problems. Okay? Now, most of you are going to be parents someday. Some of you might be parents already. But most of you are going to be parents someday. When you, this comes from another book I read, it's called Mindset. When you compliment your children, some of you might have some young nephews and nieces, and when you compliment them, don't say, oh, you're so smart. Say, you really worked hard at solving that, didn't you? See the difference? One of them is fixed mindset, because the danger of telling a kid he's smart, he'll only want to try things where he can look smart. He won't want to try this problem over here because, oh, if I can't solve that, I might not look smart. So be very careful how you give positive reinforcement. Say, you really worked hard at that. And if somebody goes, oh, this was easy, well, I'm sorry. I'm going to give you a harder problem next time. Okay? Because I want to challenge you. And so you reward working hard, not being smart. It doesn't sound like a big deal, but it is. All right. Well, let's see. Got to watch the clock carefully. Only about 20 minutes left. That was some problem-solving things. Now, hopefully you didn't have any trouble writing words into, numbers into words and words into numbers, okay? Hopefully you didn't have any trouble with that. The biggest mistake that I have found that students make is that they use an and. They say 583. 583. No, you say 583. You put the and where the decimal point is. It's 583 and 9/10. parentheses, that's 583.9, okay? So you don't put an and except there. That's not a, it's just kind of like an English mistake. Oh, your author goes over the good stuff, when you subtract, the minuend, the subtrahend, and the difference. If you're going to be an elementary teacher, that's probably a big deal. You know, you want to, or if you're going to be a math major, you need to know like all the correct words when you do that division. You need to know all the. It's good to know the vocabulary. By the way, when you do learn vocabulary, you sound more intelligent. See, when you're going to take 9 and let's say you're going to divide that into 189. Let's just say that for the fun of it. Well, when you're doing the division, it's nice to call that the divisor instead of just, yeah, it's the thing that you're dividing by. Okay? That's the divisor. And then here's the dividend. And then the answer up here, 9 goes in here twice, and then you get 18, and you get 0, 9, you get 1, 9, and 0. So 21 is the, does anybody remember the name of that one? It starts with a Q. Anybody remember what that's called? It's not a big deal, but hey, it's just like learning some vocabulary. It starts with Q. Quotient! Oh, go ahead, just shout it out, John Jay, yes. Is that what you were going to say, John Jay?
Yes, sir.
Awesome. 21 is the quotient. So there's the divisor. That's the quotient. The 189 is the dividend. And anybody know the name of that down there, the 0?
The remainder.
The remainder! Rachel gets the extra credit there. So, the remainder. That's what that's called. And it's nice you know the names of those things. You sound more intelligent when you learn vocabulary. That's all there is to it. You sound more intelligent when you learn the vocabulary. All right. Your author goes a lot about rounding numbers. I hope you know how to round numbers. There is something that I don't think your author mentioned about rounding numbers that can be important. I didn't see it. You tell me if you find it on a particular page. Most of the time when we round numbers, we round them like this. I probably should bring up a blank screen instead of keep writing all over that, shouldn't I? So here's a blank screen. All right. So most of the time when we round a number, we go like this. We say, okay, 46.5, round that to the nearest whole number. All right, do that for me, Robert.
47.
That's 47. And this is what we do. We say if this is 5 or higher, we round up. That's the way you've been taught, right? Well, if you've taken a science class, then you realize that if you have a big column of numbers, 46.5, and let's say you have 43.5, etc. I'm going to just, because I'm running out of time here, feels like you've been sitting there for 3 hours, but for me, see, it only feels like 10 minutes so far. I guess that's because I love what I do. It's not fair, is it? But in a big column of numbers, pretend that's a big column of numbers. Well, if we do this by rounding, the standard way of rounding, we'll round that to 47. We'll round this to 44, won't we? And when we add those, if every time it hits a 0.5, we round up, and then we add our rounded numbers, the answer is going to be considerably bigger than the actual answer. So in science, a lot of times, we will do what is called round to the even. Now, raise your hand if you've ever heard of that. Have you ever had a science class? All right, one person. So you round to the even. So instead of rounding this to 46, or 47, we would round to 46 because this was even. All right? Now, the reason they do this in science a lot is because that way when you're adding up a big column of numbers, that way it won't foul up and you get all that rounding up. Ain't weird, you know, he'll end up being off by quite a ways. Now you notice 43.5 will stay, it'll round to 44 because we round to the even number. So that means half the time you'll round up and half the time you'll round down. That's the reason why they do that in science, and so then you'll actually get the right answer when you add these two. I think that's 90, right? And that's the actual answer over here. But by the round up all the time, we would end up getting 91, which means the answer would be off by more than 1%. Doesn't sound like much, but you see, if you get an answer that's off by 1% here, have you ever looked at a stars through a telescope and you're off just a tiny little bit? Well, it just keeps magnifying it over time. So that's why they do that in science. Another thing that your author doesn't mention, I don't believe, is about significant digits. I don't think your author talks about that. If he does, you tell me where it is. You can see I've read this carefully. After teaching math for 42 years, I guess I don't read this as carefully as as carefully as I want you to, right? Significant digits. This just kills me. And in science, they really do a great job about emphasizing significant digits. But let's suppose we have this rectangle. All right. And all of you know what a rectangle is, right? It's an angle that got into an accident. Oh, a little extra credit for Nubia. I heard a faint chuckle right there. All right. A rectangle is an angle. You want to pass this course, by the way, the first time. The jokes are the same the second time through. They're really bad the first time. Don't take this course a second time, all right? Well, anyway, you're going to measure this rectangle for the area. And so you measure this, let's say you measure it in centimeters, and you measure this thing so accurate. I mean, you measure it, and this in centimeters is 11.371 centimeters. And then you go, oh, dang, that took so much time. That's just, I ran out of time. So this is 8 centimeters. I just measured that roughly. And then you grab your handy-dandy calculator out. By the way, I do want you to bring a calculator to class every class as well, okay? Because we're going to do some things together here. And by the way, you can probably guess, as my ancient cell phone, it's a year and a half old, my ancient cell phone, see now oh good, you brought a calculator, a real one. My ancient cell phone, see I was going to give you the chance to rag on my phone versus your nice iPhone. Take 11.371 times 8, and you get 90.968 square centimeters, okay? So that's the area of this, all right? And roughly that means if we divided this thing up in centimeters, it's about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, there you go. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 11.3. There's roughly 91 squares there. Okay? That's what area means. Well, it turns out, since I only have one significant digit over here, all of these digits over here are ridiculous. These are ridiculous. You see, the answer can't be more accurate than the sloppiest piece of input. That's also a good problem-solving thing to remember. That your answer can't be more accurate than your sloppiest piece of input. One more time. Your answer can't be more accurate than your sloppiest piece of input. Now, there's all these fancy schmancy rules about significant digits, but there's the principle that I want you to remember 20 years from now. Now, if you have to go look up all the special rules for significant digits, that's okay. But I want you to remember the principle of significant digits 20 years from now, and that is you can't get a super accurate answer with even if only one piece of input is sloppy. So now I'm not going to go through all the rules of significant digits, but here, bottom line is, if you have, let's count these significant digits. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 significant digits here. In other words, there's 5 digits all carrying some significance to them. That's what we mean by significant digits. They all have meaning. But over here, we only have 1 significant digit. That means in your answer, you can only have 1 significant digit. In fact, even the 0 is not significant. It's 90, so your answer should be 90 square centimeters. That's it. You shouldn't even say the answer is 91. Because if you say the answer is 91, now you have 2 significant digits. See, zeros like this are not, zeros like this, right here, zeros like that are not significant unless you put a decimal point in there. Now that 0 is significant. So you shouldn't even put that decimal point right in there. Don't even put that decimal. Because now that 0 is not significant. I realize that your office probably doesn't even go over that, but it is extremely important because it just kills me when I see students, they have, they write out an answer. Well, this kills me when I do my, I have a great piece of software that helps me trade stock options, okay? And it'll have percentages of, it'll have probabilities listed. And it'll say the probability is 91.37%. Baloney. There's no way you could have 4 significant digits of accuracy. It's strictly for marketing purposes. It's strictly to make people think that this piece of software is going to make you real accurate and you're going to be an awesome stock options trader. Okay? That's an example of it. It's just all baloney. And I've even told the people at Thinkorswim, it's just marketing. It doesn't, there's no, just for start, just get rid of the, at least, what did I say, 91.37%? Get rid of at least a 0.37. I think 91%. My goodness. That 37 on the end, it has no significance whatsoever. Well, anyway, let's see. So, some other good stuff. I'm not going to read the book to you. I know you're disappointed. All right. Let's see. You should know how to convert fractions into decimals, right? How do you convert 2/3 into a decimal? How do you do that, Robert? If I want to do that on a calculator, how do I convert 2/3 into a decimal?
There's a button for it.
I wish there were a button that just says convert to decimal. But you get 2 points for your good participation. Nubia, how do you convert 2/3 into a decimal? Yeah, take 2 divided by 3. So on your handy-dandy calculator, by the way, I was lamenting my pathetic calculator that I have on my phone. Man, I wish there was a real advanced scientific calculator. I accidentally turned my calculator sideways like this, and whoa! There's the advanced calculator. So my standard calculator is like this, and my advanced calculator is like this. Wow, I discovered that by accident. All right, well anyway, if you take 2 divided by 3 equals, boom, now you have your, 0.666666666, and eventually it's a 7. I'm curious, well you don't have your iPhone with you. I was curious if the iPhone displays the 7 on the end. See, mine does. Yeah. See, and if you have a good calculator, your calculator will say 0.6666666, and the last digit will be a 7. Yes, if you have a Kmart Blue Light Special, it'll probably say 0.6666666, and it won't round it correctly to the...
It does.
It does round. Well, let's hand it to Steve Jobs and the 6-year-old children that made your iPhone. How's that? Okay, well, that's fractions. By the way, if some of you need extra practice on fractions, I think there's some extra practice stuff at the back of your book on fractions. I think you have some extra practice stuff at the back of your book on fractions. So if you need it, if you're pretty weak on fractions, there's if you're normal, you're not as good at fractions as you are at decimals. Okay? That's That's if you're normal. Now, if you're abnormal like me, hey. All right, well, you might need some extra practice on that one. Then, your author does go over some pretty cool stuff, like some cool tricks. I saw this. If you have, let's say you have a fraction, 9,120, well, I'm going to just make this up. Okay, let's say you have 912,300. 912,300. And you're going to divide this by 90. I think most of you know this, but it's in your book, and this is good stuff. You know that you can just cancel those two zeros. Now, I hate to use the word cancel because it implies magic. But what we're really doing is, we're really dividing the numerator by 10, and we're dividing the denominator by 10. That's the reason that we're allowed to cancel these zeros. In fact, do you see this fraction here, 16 over 64? You might have this very, very bad disease called cancelitis. If you think you can cancel the sixes, and you say, and Dr. G, it works, I got the right answer. You can't do that, can you? You can't cancel those sixes. It's not legal. So if you think this is perfectly fine, then you have this dreaded disease called cancelitis. And if you have the disease of cancelitis, then you're not allowed to say the C word, cancel. Can't let you divide numerator and denominator by the same thing. You'll multiply numerator and denominator by the same thing, whatever, okay? So that's some good things. Your author goes over least common denominator. Least common denominator is very important when you're adding fractions, subtracting fractions. Least common denominator, extremely important. You know how to do that. So let's say if you have, let's say 2/3 plus 4/15. Okay? You're going to have to figure out what's the common denominator. And so what you do is break this one down into, well, that's 3 times 5. This is just 3. It's called, you're figuring out into prime numbers. You know the product prime, 2, 3, 5, 7, 11. What's the next prime number, Shay? After 11?
Prime number?
Prime numbers. They can only be divisible by 1 in themselves, evenly.
13.
13 is correct. And like the next one I think is 17. Did I do that right? These are all prime numbers. So when you do a least common denominator, you try to get them into a product of primes. And then you say, well, I need a 3. I already have a 3. And I need a 5. So when you get the least common denominator, I need a 3. Got a 3 from here. Already have the 3 written down here, so I don't need to write it down again, do I? And then I have a 5. So 3 times 5, so 15 would be the least common denominator between 3 and 15. If you need to review that, you have some more stuff, okay? Oh, shoot, I went too far. I went ahead, but you're going to have to know how to do least common denominator. Let's see. Now your quiz is not going to be until next week. I'll probably have it due Wednesday night by 11:59 p.m. And like I said before, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you 3 tries. I want the quiz to be a learning experience. So you'll try the quiz once. If you don't get all the questions right, no big deal. In fact, I'll even give you the answers. I'll show you, well, maybe not. I haven't decided yet. I probably should. It'd be a better learning experience if I gave you the answers, because then you'll know which ones you got wrong. I think I will. I'll give you the answer. So you take it the first time, and then do the best you can. And if you don't get them all right, then take it again. But study, I've decided to give you the correct answers. So then figure out what you did wrong, and go ahead and take the quiz again. Hopefully you get it all right the second time. If you don't, I'll give you the answers again, and then study to figure out what you did wrong, and then take it a third time. Hopefully the third time you get them all right. Now each time you're probably going to get a different set of questions. because I'm going to choose these from a huge test bank. So don't count on, I'll just, the first shot, I'll just see what the questions are. No, don't waste that first try, because your second try, you probably won't even get the same questions, okay? So there you go. That'll be on Wednesday. So if you're online students, you'll just have to watch to see when, because we're going to have a quiz at the end of each chapter. Well, that's all the time we have for today. You guys did great. Awesome. Have a wonderful, blessed day.